everybody, I'm back, and today we are finally doing another episode of Nails, Novels, and Nonfiction, Halloween edition. If you're new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to the Cute Life. On Wednesdays, I try to do a little series I call Nails, Novels, and Nonfiction, where I do my nails and I talk about the latest book I've read. And I thought since it's almost Halloween, it would be fun to do something kind of scary, you know, Halloween-y. And I thought, well, what's like the scariest book in the world? And for some people, that is the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Now, I know this is going to be controversial, but I thought it was the most appropriate book for Halloween. And I thought I would do a little devil type nails, which just basically means red. I haven't done my nails in a long time, quite frankly, just because I've been lazy and haven't felt like doing them. So today I'm just going to do a gel manicure. I've actually been dabbling in some gardening, if you want to call 2 plants a garden. And you get dirt under your nails. Also, we are not far from Thanksgiving coming, and I'm the one that cooks, and it's always easier if I have short nails. So we're just gonna do a gel manicure today, and I'm just gonna do some red, some black, maybe attempt some sort of design work, and maybe some red and silver glitter, possibly, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, let's get started. I'm also excited today because I'm going to be trying out some new bits that are from my girl at Sculpted, Onyx. She works at the Nail Coven. She's an amazing artist, super smart girl, very educated on nail anatomy and tools and technique. I will link her channel and I believe the website that these will be available on below. So yeah, I'm gonna start with my cuticle work, and I'm gonna start with just pushing back my cuticles. Okay, here we go. The Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Now, this book is kind of in a few different parts. The opening is actually more about Anton and his life growing up, and I'm not really gonna get into that. We're just gonna, for sake of time, we're just gonna talk about the actual teachings that are in the book. So first you learn a little bit about his life and, you know, just really briefly based on some things that happened, you can kind of understand why he believes the things that he believes in and where his philosophies on religion have come from. I'm not gonna lie, I can kind of relate. Sounds like such a horrible thing to say, that you can relate to Anton LaVey, supposedly one of the most evilest persons who's ever lived. I don't know that I agree with that, but let's just continue. So after the initial introduction, we learn a little bit about Anton's life. The book continues and is divided into 2 parts. The first part is the actual teachings, the verses, and what you need to understand about the religion. The second half is instructions on certain rituals. I'm not going to go into these instructions because honestly they're pretty repetitive and actually kind of boring in my opinion. But, you know, just know that the point of a satanic ritual or any ritual is to act out in a symbolic manner your own beliefs in order to strengthen them and to reiterate them to yourself which can then lead to the manifestation of a desire. Before we start our discussion too, there's a few things you need to know beforehand. Just like in any religion, there are different sects of the religion. We will be discussing the mainstream form of Satanism, which is Leviathan Satanism, obviously named after Anton LaVey. In Leviathan Satanism, Satan is not a literal being. He is not a spirit or an entity. Satan is a symbol of liberty and individualism. He is symbolic, not literal. So Satan is embraced not as some devil to be worshipped, but as a symbolic external projection of the highest potential of each individual. The identification with Satan is an intentional barrier against those who cannot resonate with this archetype. I like this bed, girl. I like it. Look at all that. It's getting up. I have really neglected my nails lately. I'm so sorry. Okay, so having Satan as their quote-unquote God or symbol is a way to protect others who are not emotionally or mentally capable of handling these teachings. There's nothing to fear in the Satanic Bible. It will not transform you into something you are not. It cannot convert you or persuade you in directions not already inherent in your nature. Its power lies in its ability to show you what you are through your reactions to its contents. So, it starts out with the 9 Satanic Statements, kind of like their version of the 10 Commandments, kind of. So the 9 Satanic Statements are: 1, Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Number 2, Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Number 3, Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. Number 4, Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. Number 5, Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Number 6, Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Number 7, Satan represents man, just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development, have become the most vicious animal of all. Number 8, Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification. And number 9, Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in business all these years. So then we move on to the Book of Satan. This first book is not meant to be blasphemy as much as a statement of diabolical indignation, and is written in poetic verse, much like the same style as the Christian Bible. Here are some of the verses that I found kind of striking. The Book of Satan, chapter 1, verse 8. I break away from all conventions that do not lead to my earthly success and happiness. Chapter 2, verse 8. Theories and ideas that may have meant life and hope and freedom for our ancestors may now mean destruction, slavery, and dishonor to us. Chapter 3, verse 7. Hate your enemies with a whole heart, and if a man smite you on your cheek, smash him on the other, smite him hip and thigh. For self-preservation is the highest law. And side note, he's really not wrong here. This is exactly what we see in nature. To animals and plants, their own survival and that of their young and lineage is all that matters to them. Chapter 4, verse 1, life is the great indulgence, death the great abstinence. Therefore, make the most of life here and now. Chapter 4, verse 3, say unto thy own heart, I am my own Redeemer. Chapter 4, verse 13, the angel of self-deceit is camped in the souls of the righteous. The eternal flame of power through joy dwells within the flesh of the Satanist. Now, the book of Lucifer is next. The Roman god Lucifer was the bearer of light, the personification of enlightenment. It has been said, the truth will make men free. But the truth alone has never set anyone free. It is only doubt which will bring mental emancipation. It is doubt that makes you question the establishment. It is doubt, not truthful statements, that make a person wonder why things are done the way they are, and if they should be done another way. Doubt leads to questions. Questions lead to investigation. Investigation leads to the uncovering of unknown truths. It is a misconception that Satanists do not believe in God. To the Satanist, God is seen as a balancing force in nature and not something or someone that is concerned with our suffering. The Satanist realizes that anything that happens to him is because of his own actions or reactions to the universe around him. This means that he can take control of a situation instead of praying to God for help or to make something happen or not happen. It is positive thinking with the combination of positive action that adds up to results, not praying and waiting. Some ask if Anton LaVey hated religion so much, why did he turn his philosophies into an official religion? Well, according to Anton, he says that humans need rituals and dogma to identify with, and that an externalized God is not necessary in order to engage in ritual and ceremony. It is ritual and ceremony that will give us awareness of our own majestic being. He says that Satanism fills the large gray void between religion and psychiatry. The Satanic philosophy combines the fundamentals of psychology and good, honest emotionalization or dogma. There's nothing wrong with dogma, providing it is not based on ideas and actions which go completely against human nature. Anton then makes an argument against the 7 deadly sins. He says that all of the 7 deadly sins are inherent in our nature, and that each deadly sin ultimately leads us to something necessary and positive. Since a human's natural instinct leads them to sin, all people are sinners, and all sinners go to hell. If everyone goes to hell, then you will meet up with all your friends there. So maybe it's not so bad. I think he's being, silly there. He was definitely, I think, in my opinion, one of the earliest trollers. Sometimes he just says things to purposely upset people, to prove his point on how easily upsettable they are. Anyway, heaven must be populated with some rather strange creatures if all they lived for was to go to a place where they can strum harps for eternity. Now, some say that times have changed and that religious leaders no longer preach all of our natural actions are sinful if many religions are denying their own scriptures because they are out of date and are preaching similar philosophies to Satanism, why not call it what it is? Satanism. Certainly it'd be far less hypocritical. Many churches with some of the largest congregations have the most hand-clapping sensual music, which was satanically inspired. After all, the devil has always had the best tunes. What Anton is saying here is that churches are now using certain types of music that had once been condemned to lure in more church members who would otherwise have found their sermons and ceremonies boring. He is pointing out another hypocrisy. Now, the literal meaning of Satan is the adversary, or the opposition, or the accuser. The Indian word for God is Levay. I'll spell it below. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. But Levay means God. So Satan represents opposition to all religions which serve to frustrate and condemn people or their natural instincts. Satan has been given an evil role simply because he represents the carnal, earthly, and mundane aspects of life. Satan, the chief devil in the Western world, was originally an angel in heaven with God, according to biblical beliefs. It was not until the 14th century that he began to be depicted as an evil deity that was part man and part animal with goat-like horns and hooves. Before Christianity had given him the name Satan or Lucifer, human nature was governed by a god named Pan, or another one that I can't pronounce, Dionysus? Right here. Anyway, he was depicted as a, gosh darn these Greek words, satar, I think, maybe, or a fawn by the Greeks. Pan was originally the good guy and symbolized fertility. Now, I'm sure we all know whenever a nation comes under a new form of government, the heroes of the past become the villains of the present. So it is with religion. The earliest Christians believed that the pagan deities were devils, and to employ them was to use black magic. The old gods did not die. They fell into hell and became devils. The devils of past religions have always, at least in part, had animal characteristics, evidence of people's constant need to not be reminded that they too are animals, which would just be a massive blow to the ego. Most Satanists do not accept Satan as an I'm gonna have to read this one. Anthropomorphic being with horns, hooves, and a tail. He merely represents a force of nature, the powers of darkness, which are called that only because no religion or any other teaching has brought those things out of the darkness. So this next part of the book deals with a lot of adult subject matter. Anyone who's under 18 or doesn't like to discuss this type of stuff should probably exit now. I'm not going to go too much into this section, only because I feel like I'm already walking a pretty fine line with this book and the YT algo. But what I will mention is this. Satanism condones any type of activity which properly satisfies your individual desires be it heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, asexual, or any other variant. Satanism also allows any fetish which will enhance your experience, so long as it involves no one who does not wish to be involved. So you cannot act out your desires with anyone who is not a consenting participant. There must be a verbal consent and a legal consent by being the legal age in your country or province. So the main point is that a person must do whatever they must in order to experience a desire free of guilt with a consenting arrangement. Now, the next section is on psychic vampires. A Satanist would not concern themselves with these types. A few rules to help you decide if someone is a psychic vampire would be to ask yourself, is this a person who I often call or visit simply because I will feel guilty if I don't? Or do you continually find yourself doing favors for this person who doesn't even really quite come out and say, oh, can you do this or that for me, but like hints at it, and then you suggest it, and they're like, oh, I couldn't ask you to do that. But okay, you have no reason to feel guilty over not wanting to be around these types who suck you of your vital life energy. The next section is on the subject of sacrifice. It is a misconception that Satanists perform rituals that involve either human or non-human sacrifices. Supposedly, according to the misinformed, the blood that is spilled from the offering in one of these rituals releases a vital life source, which would give power to the desire of the ritual. This is untrue. Actually, the greatest life force to be used in rituals would be any heightened emotion, such as during adult activities, blind anger, or consuming grief, among others. This is the energy that needs to be brought to a ritual in order to manifest the desired results of the ritual. Now, as far as Satanic holidays, the most important Satanic holiday is one's own birthday. After this, there are two major Satanic holidays. One, I'm not gonna even attempt to pronounce, so it will be right here. It's also referred to as the Eve of May, so that's what I'm gonna call it. And of course, All Hallows Eve, which we all know as Halloween. The Eve of May has been memorialized as the night when all of the demons, witches, specters, and banshees would come forth and hold their wild parties, symbolizing the fruition of the spring equinox. It was one of the most important pagan festivals of the year and was the great climax of the spring equinox. Sorry about the lawn maintenance, don't they know? I'm trying to film. Then we have Halloween, which we are all familiar with. All Hallows Eve was one of the greatest fire festivals in Britain at the time of the Druids. It was associated with the time of year that the dead, demons, witches, sorcerers were assumed to be the most active. It was also a night when young people would perform magical rituals to try and predict who their marriage partner was going to be. So now we come to the Black Mass. It basically isn't a real thing. The Satanist would only perform a Black Mass as a way to perform a psychodrama. A Black Mass is basically a parody on the Roman Catholic Church's Mass. To a Satanist, a Black Mass is simply a blasphemy on the Orthodox rites. Oh, looky. Cute. So the other one. Now, the services of all religious, established religious organizations are actually parodies on old pagan rituals. As an attempt to desexualize and dehumanize the pagans' beliefs, men of faith whitewashed the honest meanings behind the rituals into a bland euphemism. A lot of hard words today. Now considered the true Mass. Even if a Satanist was to spend every night performing this Black Mass, they would no more be performing a travesty as any faithful churchgoer unwittingly attending his own Black Mass, his own spoof on the honest and emotionally sound rites of pagan antiquity. So this is the point in the book where I'll stop because it's starting to get into the satanic magic and the rituals performed by Satanists. Not because I think it's bad or because anyone can be caused harm, but because it is extremely repetitive and somewhat boring in my opinion. But if you are curious about what's entailed in satanic rituals, and if you want to learn about how to ritualize your own beliefs, then you can read this part of the Satanic Bible. Anton also has another book that's dedicated only to ritual. So yeah, that is the Satanic Bible in summarized form. And, you know, again, to put it in a nutshell, Satanism is all about your own self-gratification as long as it doesn't impose on someone else's gratification. I would suggest this book for anyone who is extremely open-minded and understanding of the dark aspects of life and who has really sharpened their own reasoning abilities. There were a lot of eye-opening insights in this book for me, especially having been raised the way that I was taught this was a evil book and that if I read it, something terrible would happen to me. But I can tell you that it's just ink on paper. I've read it several times throughout my life, and nothing bad has ever happened to me while I was reading it or because I read it. So yeah, that's the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. If you're interested in this type of stuff, again, just, you know, keep an open mind. But me, personally, I didn't read anything that was like terrible to me. Like, not even like a little bit. So either maybe I'm... Am I evil? Am I a little devil too? Okay, I'm gonna finish these nails up really quick. I remember as a kid seeing Anton LaVey on the Donahue show. It was a big deal that he was on the show. I mean, I was very, very young, but I remember vividly what he looked like. And you would like, you'd see this guy and you'd be like, this has got to be a joke, right? Like nobody really takes this seriously, right? But again, like I really think that he was one of the earlier trollers, and if he knew he was going to be perceived a certain way, and so he just gave the public what they wanted. And I think this also again deterred idiots from coming around. At least I hope that's what he was doing. So I was gonna put some glitter on these, but I don't know. I don't know, would the devil wear glitter? He probably would, yeah. I just feel like they're not as, you know. But we do need to make them Halloween. I'm going to attempt to paint a pentagram on this one. But we all know how my hand painting is. Are my cute little red nails. Devilish. Alright, I'm gonna attempt some hand painting. This probably isn't going to work out, and I definitely can't talk and do this at the same time. So you'll just have to hold on a second. My God, I am the worst hand painter ever. Kind of looks like it, not really. Part of the problem is my eyesight is getting worse and worse. And I don't want to wear glasses. I don't know, what do you think? Can you even see that? Whatever, I'll keep it. Alrighty, all done. Halloween. Well, thank you for joining me for this episode of Nails, Novels, and Nonfiction Halloween edition. And thank you for being open-minded and listening to a book that I personally actually kind of really like. And I loved these bits by Sculpted Onyx. Again, I will link her YouTube channel and her website below. This was not a sponsored video or anything. I know her personally, and she asked me to try these out, and I really like them, especially this one. Really gets the cuticle off. If you liked this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up. It's how I know what kind of videos to make. Make sure and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you'll know when I upload new videos, and you won't miss out on our evil videos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. And maybe some red and silver glitter. Red, maybe.